Hello everyone, good morning. It's Tricia Roberts here this morning and I'm just trying to get my camera set up here. Good morning everybody. Happy Wednesday, we're here. It's a little muggy outside, I'm noticing. Whew, a little sweaty, but that's all good. We're gonna get started in a couple minutes. Hi Harper. We are doing Mosaic inspired art today, a couple different projects, and then I'll show you how you can modify as well. But yeah, I'm excited to try that today. So I'm glad that it stopped raining. Because one of mine is chalk, so you get to head outside and you'll see my front little stoop in a couple minutes. But yeah, I'm excited. So I'm just gonna give a couple minutes before we get started to let people sign on and be ready to go. Let's see what else I have going on here. Couple pieces of information before we get started. We do have our youth art competition going on. So if you are 18 and under, right, as long as you don't turn 18 by July 1st, which is technically when our judging starts. So 18 before July, after July 1st. So if you turn 18 July 1st or later, okay, you're able to compete. And then all the way down to babies. You know, I might have Hugh submit some art too. We'll see if I can get him to sit long enough to actually make art. I don't know. But anyway, we have our art competition coming up. It's called If You Just Smile, based on the Charlie Chaplin song. Get excited. Think about things that make you smile. Or maybe you want to create a smile yourself. Any way that you want to do it is fine. Just be inspired and submit your art. So we're really hoping we get some submissions. We are accepting submissions now. I'm good here on Facebook. I just wanted to make sure that there we go. Yep, so my live is working. That's good to see. So again, our art competition, you fill out a form, you submit your art, we hold it at the Arts Center, we'll judge it at the beginning of July, and then from there, we'll award some prizes. So we're really excited about that. We have youth classes that are coming up this summer, starting in July. Mary Starnicki is teaching art camps July through August. They're 4 days, Monday through Thursday. She has painting week, she has zoo week, she has all different themes. So check out our information on that. We will be holding them in person outside. So we're gonna follow CDC guidelines, we're gonna keep your kids safe, and we're gonna distance, but we're gonna have them come together for art class. We have 2 adult workshops planned too this summer. Coming up at the end of June, June 26th, will be an outdoor on our back patio patriotic wreath workshop with Alexis. So you should sign up for that. I just did her spring virtual, so we did it on Zoom and it actually worked pretty well. So I'll show you that wreath that I made as we head outside in a little bit. But yeah, great. They're fun. They're like American themed stars and flowers, and they're just really, she does a beautiful job. And then Mary Starnicki is coming back too to teach an adult beach landscape. We're going to kind of have like a little tropical party outside. So again, on our back patio, we'll distance. You can sit with the people that you sign up with. This is an adult class as well, and there'll be some choices that you get to pick with that one too. So stay tuned for more promo. The best place always to check out what we have going on is our Facebook page. It's the most up to date. Sometimes our website is just not quite up to date. So please give us a call. Check our Facebook page. That's the best way that you can see what we have going on and check for updates. Okay, so let's get started today. Our first project that we're going to work on is Mosaic. Rainbow. So this is out of paper and a paper plate. Here's my little example. I'm going to show you how to do this one today. I'm going to show you a secondary different type of mosaic paper art that we can do, and then we're going to head outside and I'm going to show you some chalk mosaic art. So really excited about this. Typically with mosaics, I would say you'd most likely see them in like a cement base, and there's like broken glass or broken porcelain or other objects that you would make in like a stepping stone, or I've seen really beautiful outdoor tables. So that would be the typical mosaic. I don't know how to work with cement, so we're working with paper because I got paper, okay, and paper plates. All right, so the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is get a paper plate, cut it in half. Okay, and then your choice. I decided to cut out the little whoop-de-doo here, okay, the little arch, but you could leave it just cut in half, okay? okay? The next thing you want to do is cut out a bunch of these little squares. So you can choose, if you want them all to be uniform, to cut them all about the same size. You could choose different like sizes of squares to build and make a more intricate version. But I tried to do similar sizes, and then you'll see too where I have some curving issues, so I cut some different ones in my example. Okay, so you're gonna wanna cut different colors. Now, if you're doing a traditional rainbow, okay, I just stuck with red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. I probably, if I had a lighter purple, which I just don't at home, I could stick like a violet, right? Reggie Biv, indigo violet color here, or a darker purple. But we just stuck with one purple. This is a fun project too if you're celebrating Pride. All about the rainbows and supporting our community. So what you want to do is you want to get your paper plate ready. You want to get your glue ready. Now again, I ran out of my glue stick. But for this one, I highly suggest the liquid glue. Just because it's easier to spread, you can do a bigger area, and then it's easier just to go ahead and stick. I also grabbed a paintbrush, and I did a little bead of glue, so I'll show you this here. I did a little bead of glue all the way around because you don't want it to be too wet. It'll mess up and crinkle the paper. Woo, no! Hang tight. And we're back. Okay, so I did a little bead of glue and then I spread it out. Another option you have, but you want to be careful because it makes the paper really wet. So depending on the material that you're using, the thickness of your paper, you could make Modge Podge, or if you have Modge Podge, you could use that too. Some glue and some water, and you mix it together. A little more glue than water, and it's easier to spread. So if you're doing this with your kids and you want a little bit of an easier time spreading that glue or painting it on, then I would suggest maybe making a glue water situation. You could put it in a cup or a bowl, they can dip, and then they can spread. But you really just want to do one strip at a time because it also helps keep your rows even. I should tell you too, before I started gluing, I did plan out, I took one of every color that I was using and I mapped it towards the center just to make sure that my squares were an appropriate size. So it's good to do a little bit of planning before you get started. Okay, so I have my glue on my first layer, and I'm going to stick towards the edge. Okay, and then you just start layering your squares. Again, I just did one row. You could do some alternating patterns. There's a lot of variety that you can do when it comes to your mosaics. You don't have to stick with just squares either. Typically, like straight lines is traditional. So you could do triangles, you could do squares, rectangles, maybe like rhombuses, right, which is the square that's tilted. All of those are good. I'm going to go about halfway or a third of the way here so then you can see how I continue to build down versus around, because I think you guys get the idea, okay? And I'm just giving each one a quick little, oh no, a quick little press. Doing too much talking and not enough gluing. There we go. There you go, okay, so you can see the start of my row. So I would go ahead and finish the whole row before I would start the second one, but for sake of time today, I'm just going to show you the different colors here and how to kind of map it out. So again, a little glue, I'm going to spread it just a little bit. Now I chose to keep the curve in the plate. You could cut it off, you know what I mean, or you could, where the bump is here, you could cut it here instead. But I kind of like the look, and also my example ends up standing up then. So that's kind of cool that it can stand on its own. Okay, red, orange. Orange is next. Again, I have dots on part of my paper, so I want to make sure that I'm focusing and putting the pretty side out. I'll show you here, I have a couple different sizes too. My red are all pretty similar, but my orange, there are some more rectangular, there are some more square, so I'm just going to do a little bit of a combo situation here. And again, this one is going on the lip. Okay. If I wanted to, I might be able to squeeze, like I could do 2 smaller ones here, do you see, to kind of fill that gap. That would be a cool look too. But you want to be careful that it doesn't bleed too far into the next layer, okay? So that's another option as well. So I'm going to keep going. The curve is your choice too. You could have the yellow kind of pop up, or you could push down to have the yellow wrap the curve. Again, it's kind of your preference. My yellow squares here are just a little bit smaller than my orange and my red. So I'm going to try to push these down a little bit. You might need to just hold it for a second or two. So if you're doing this at home, right, or if you're doing it by yourself, you can kind of like take your time, get everything ready to go, or cut as you go. You know what I mean? Only cut what you need. If you're doing this with your kids, I suggest getting some of this prepped before, like all the cutting, if they're not good at like with using scissors yet. And then you can talk about the different colors. You can talk about Roy G. Biv, things like that. Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Again, that's how I remember the rainbow is Roy G. Biv. Okay, so my yellow is kind of popping out a little bit, but I like that look, so I'm going to stick with it. Okay, then we have green. Again, a line. I'm just kind of smearing it so it gets evenly applied on the back. Now my green are a little bit more rectangular. So this is going to be a little bit of a different look too. You could always do that too. You could do more square on one part. You could do more rectangular on another part. So there's maybe a few more versus a few less. It's really whatever your heart desires, your design, you know, preference. Some people really like it to be even. Some people like it to be crazy. Okay, so you can see how my green is a little bit longer. Okay, and then you'll see how my blue is a little bit more like small square situation. And again, when you're planning, there I go, just tossing things around. When you're planning out your colors and how many you need, just remember that red is the longest, right? So you're gonna need the most in red and the least in purple. Okay, so these are more square and they're a little bit shorter. You can choose too if you want to leave like a white line or a white seam in between them. That's a cool look. Or if you want them to overlap, that's another cool look. Okay, so you can see that here too. So you can see I have different sizes, different shapes, and then finally the purple. The curve too, you want to be aware of. My curve is getting a little crazy. It's kind of straight, so I want to make sure that I am following that curve, and it's a lot easier if you do, again, I would suggest not doing it this way, like a third at a time. I would do all the way across with red, all the way across with orange. I'm just using this for sake of time. Okay, purple. Because then your curve is going to be good to go. All right, so there you have it, okay? Easy mosaic. Again, the most time consuming, I think, is cutting out all the squares. Now, little tip for you, if you've been doing my other paper projects and you have a bunch of like random pieces of paper, don't throw them away, right? Because then you can do cool things like this. So a lot of this paper that I'm using are like random chunks that I have from our hearts, from our puppets, from our cards, things like that, things that I've been using paper for. I've kept like the nicer chunks, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just use them up. Let's cut them up. Then you're not wasting all that paper either. Okay, so again, your rainbow will end up turning out like this. Oops, this one is not, there we go, there it's standing. So again, I chose to keep my paper plate whole in that regard versus like cutting off any of the space to give it a little bit more of a 3D look, and it's able to stand. So I really like that as well. Okay, paper plate mosaic. Now, another thing you could do, right? You don't have to stick with a rainbow. You could take the middle of your paper plate and do some sort of like flower design That could be really cool. You could keep the paper plate whole. You could kind of sketch out where the flower would go, or the flower petals in the middle. And then again, do your petals one color, do your center another color, and then maybe do like blue for the sky or something different in the background. Okay, so that's another cool. Butterflies. Maybe you want to try doing a face. That would be kind of cool. I don't know if I could visualize that very well, but that would be a cool thing to do too. So again, paper plate is really nice as a base just because it's thicker. The glue will stick to it pretty well, and it won't get wrinkly. Like, it won't be super compromised with the wetness from the glue, just because it is reinforced too with that shiny part on the other side. Okay, so paper plate mosaic. Bada bing, bada boom. Next one, I was trying to think of another way, like, okay, I have all these squares left over, now what do I do with my extra squares? And I thought, how cool would it be to make some art for the kids' rooms? So we moved into our house like 3 years ago. I was as big as a house at that point, pregnant with Hugh. We finally moved in like a week before I was due. So we were calling it close, but we did it. And I just have still 3 years later, 3.5 years later, not been the best decorator. So I need to start putting some stuff up in their room to make it feel more like their room. So I started, I took a thicker piece of paper. This would be cool on a canvas too. And I thought for Hugh it would be fun to have some sort of initial art. So Hugh's almost 3 and he loves letters and identifying letters. So I want to get him used to his name as well. So I'm starting to, you can see I spread glue out in here and I've been placing all my different colorful squares because I thought this would be cool. When the blue painter's tape comes off, then it'll be a white H and like party colors, or like it looks like kind of like confetti all around it. So as I keep working on this, I'll share a picture of the finished product, but by the end you'll just want to very carefully peel off the painter's tape, right? And again, there'll be that exposed white H. That's the goal. So I'll keep you guys posted, but that's another fun thing that you can do. Teach children about their names or make it for a friend. Father's Day is coming up, you know what I mean? So that could be a cool like dad project too. Yeah, and then I would frame it probably at the end. So I'll keep you posted on how this turns out. I'm excited about it. All right, our second or third or fourth, however you want to look at it, project is Mosaic chalk designs. So you might have been seeing this. It's really popular on the internet right now. And I was like, you know what? I really want to try. I want to see how hard it is. I want to see how much chalk it uses, things like that. So again, the painter's tape. And I didn't quite explain this before this. Before you want to start putting any of your extra paper on or your like little tiles, you'd want to map out the area with painter's tape. Not Scotch tape, it'll rip the paper. Painter's tape will come off really nicely. And that's the blue stuff here. And sometimes they have like green or purple. It doesn't have to be blue. The other thing you could do too to make it a little bit more mosaic-y is you could add some extra painter's tape to come up with some more geometric shapes in between. But I just really wanted the H to stand out. That's why I did it like this. So our chalk design, I'm really glad it stopped raining and that it dried out a bunch out there. What I have done is I've taken and I started doing long strips of tape to make a design on the sidewalk, and then I started doing like smaller ones. So you'll see when I take you outside, you'll see half of it colored in and half of it not colored in. Just so I can show you and I can peel up some of that tape and you can see what the finished product will look like. Okay, so here we go on a little adventure through my house. We're gonna make a little pit stop at the wreath. So this is the wreath that I made through the wreath workshop with Alexis. It was very, very cool. Also, I had a package delivered. Oh, that was my face really close. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. Oh boy, hold on, I just need my hands for 1 second. That's the sky. Just enjoy for 1 second. Okay. So you can see here, I started with long pieces of tape, right? You can see the long pieces of tape that I used to start dividing, okay? And so this would be like step 1, taking the long pieces of tape, making different shapes, a lot of triangles which is cool. And then step 2 on this side is coloring the blocks different colors. You can choose as many or as few colors as you want. You could do it all one color. I just like to cut like multiple colors, okay? So you take your chalk, you color those in, and then very carefully, you're gonna peel up the tape to again expose that negative space. So I'm gonna do it in a few spots here. Here we go, we'll just start here. I hope you guys can see. Okay. So I'm going to start pulling it up very carefully. Again, the painter's tape is where you want to go because it lifts so easily. When you're coloring too, you want to make sure you get to the edge of the tape. You can even color on top of the tape. That's not a big deal. Here we go. So I'm going to start peeling some of this up, and then you guys can kind of see the shapes come out. This is actually coming out way better than I thought it was going to, so I'm really excited. There we go. Okay. Make sure that you're throwing away your tape too. I'm just gonna set it aside right now. Oh, there we go. Okay, and I don't want to pull up all the tape just because I'm gonna have Hugh, this is a great project for kiddos. I'm gonna have Hugh help me. There we go, you can kind of see better now. Hugh help me do some more chalk coloring when he gets home. Shout out to my husband for always hanging out with the kiddos on these mornings so I can have some peace and focus time. Okay, let's see. These other ones are kind of attached, but we'll pull them off for a little bit. I think this is probably the most fun part, is getting to see the final project. And then I have one more blue one here, so I'm covered in chalk. Let's pull this one. Okay. And I'm just gonna kind of tear it. There we go. So you can see. Alrighty. So there you have it. That's a geometric kind of mosaic tile chalk approach. Okay. So that would be the finished project. This here is like step 1 and step 2. Again, you saw that I was pulling up some shorter pieces, some longer pieces. You can make the shapes as big or as small as you want. Like this green one here is a little bit bigger, and then I have one tiny little light blue, there it is, light blue triangle too that showed up. So that's really fun. Again, you can use your kids, you could do it by yourself. Like I enjoy crafting and doing art just sometimes solo, mommy time if you will. Yeah. So if you have any questions, give us a jingle, give us a call, send us a message on Facebook. Please share your projects with us. We'd love to see what you guys are doing to bring art into the community, into your homes. We hope you're well. And again, check out our classes on our Facebook page is the best way to do it, or give us a call. Or if you feel comfortable stopping in, we have flyers out too with all of that information. Mary Sarnicki's Twinkle Twinkle Art Camps, grades 1 through 4, and then 5 through 8. A whole bunch of weeks this summer, painting, drawing, and then themed weeks with wizards and pirates, and I don't know, the woman is so creative. Like, she is just like a role model and just awesome. So if you've never taken a class with Mary, you have an opportunity to, because we're also doing the adult painting. Again, more wreaths. You can see, just put mine in the background here. Alexis with her wreaths, they're just beautiful and really affordable too. So check us out. Have a great week. We'll see you next week with another project. If you have an idea or if you have a request, let me know. But enjoy the beautiful day. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.